to episode 10 of Real Talk with me, your host, Emma G. I am thrilled and honored to be joined by two powerhouse women, Liz Strom from Expressified, as well as a number of other incredible handles and organizations and pseudonyms and secret identities that I'm sure she'll talk about. And also Lisa Chivonne, who is another powerhouse woman here, whom I had the pleasure of performing for a few years back for a Black women's empowerment meeting event that she was hosting and organizing. So thank you guys for being here. Welcome. If you have any requests, we've already got two people watching and liking, and Emma and Sean is like, yep, we like that. That's cool. All about women's empowerment. I dig it. So that was my very shitty overview of who you two ladies are, but do you want to introduce yourselves?
I kind of like the introduction.
I do too. I'll let you go first, Lisa.
So I did meet Emma. Actually, I met her a bit boldly, just walking up to her while she was performing, pretty much interrupted her performance and introduced myself. And I was interested in her because she was so outgoing, such a free spirit. I literally did not want to start my day until I heard her singing, and it was so uplifting. So my company, it's a long title, it's Butterfly and Hummingbird Productions. And I just felt like her spirit needed to be heard. And the way that she made me feel is how I try to make others feel. So essentially the gist of my company is about empowerment, and it's about bringing people together. The sole purpose is so that we rely on each other as opposed to just going to big businesses, when we can actually go to one another and pretty much raise the bar on our own living standards and our own talents. What about you, Liz?
Yeah, I do a whole bunch of things. I'm Liz Strom, and I founded a company called Creative Calm Solutions, which is what my life coaching business is about. So I life coach, mostly doing career coaching, the Washington, D.C. area and beyond, as well as resume writing. I love helping people. I just love people. And when I help others, I feel uplifted on my own. So it's sort of secretly selfish that I like to help others. So I feel better on my own. I go out through my day feeling like I've made a difference. That all began after having a double organ transplant surgery. When I was laying on the operating table about to go in, I lay there and I was like, number one, Spirit, you're going to make it through this because you have a daughter to raise, and ain't nobody going to raise her like you're going to raise her. And the second was, when I make it out of this, I have to do something more, because I knew I've always wanted to help people and didn't know how to do it on another level like I wanted to. Mm-hmm. And I knew I had to actually make a plan and actually go forth and do it once I made it through. So made it through, and I was like, this is where I'm going to start. Life coaching wasn't a thing in this area, and all of a sudden I started doing some research, found some health and wellness counselors, started there, then realized that the whole West Coast was full of life coaches that I could learn from. So I did some virtual training, and here I am, loving on people, helping them through their own things. And then my creative outlet is my stuff on Instagram. It's another page called Expressified, and that's where I can just put everything me out there, things that I find that are fun, things that work on me, showing friends what I do, these kind of things. So I try to meet all of my needs by putting out what I do, and hopefully they get received well and it helps other people in all ways.
Exactly.
That's awesome. You guys, both of you, I love seeing what you guys do in your day-to-day lives, especially during quarantine. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at each other's Instagrams or whatever, but I know for a fact, Liz, you've inspired me to wear my ball gowns around the kitchen while I'm making myself scrambled eggs. So
I love it.
My house, what the truck are you doing, bro? but it's cool, I think, the great thing about you both is that we're all on a mission, right, to just like elevate and lead by example. And even when we're feeling like we're having shitty days, to acknowledge that we're having a shitty day and just be like, but there's still pancakes.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, especially with the ball gowns, and my daughter can even tell on me, is I'll wear the ball gowns, go into the kitchen. I'm like, I'm going to make something. I'm going to show everybody how to do it. And they come out shitty. And I'm like, never mind. I'm just going to take a picture in this ball gown, having flour all over my dress, and that's okay. We've had many of those moments in this house during quarantine.
For real. For
you
real.
know, for me, for the quarantine, I haven't put on any ball gowns. As you can see, I'm rocking nice sweatpants and a tank top. But I did find myself reminding myself to still take care of me. It's so easy to get in a slump when you're not required to leave out of the house at a certain time in the mornings anymore. Still keep yourself on a routine, still do what's healthy for you, still shower, still, clothe yourself, because the first 2-3 days it was like, oh, I'm rocking pajamas every day. I'm like, this cannot become a habit, because once you let it become a habit, you'll be surprised how quickly it can take over your actual, your feeling, and you'll start being weighed down and you won't know why. And it's because you're lacking the routine and the preparedness to yourself. So I had to tell myself, okay, let's put on some clothes. No, you're not going anywhere, but let's throw the jeans on. Might not be the very nice fitting jeans, but let's throw some jeans on. Let's do your hair. As you saw, a lot of my posts, I get a lot of questions about my hair. So, I had to say, okay, let me do something to this monstrosity and post it out there. And you really just have to be conscientious of taking care of yourself at a time like this, because it's so easy to see the disaster that we're facing as a world and get lost in that and just get sucked in it, when there's still so much happiness within yourself that you need to continue to pull out. And if you're already in a state, I just want to, say to anyone who's listening, if you're already in a state of depression, believe it or not, this is a good time, because everyone is at a point where they can level their understanding of what you're going through. So it's a good time for them to be, relatively understanding for those who might not have gotten to the area of depression. But suicide and depression awareness is something that, please check on your friends. Please check on those who might otherwise struggle, because this may not be an easy time for them.
Lisa's going straight for the jugular. She's like, we've only got an hour, guys. Let's go straight. No, for real. Thank you. I appreciate this. It's so true. Like New Zealand, where I'm originally from, I know that their domestic violence levels increased like ridiculously so over quarantine, and depression totally real. Is there, for both of you, is there something like, what are the actions that you're taking at the moment to like maintain that sense of like, I don't know, structure, mental health, physical health, all that sort of awareness that helps you to just keep yourself balanced? Like for me, for example, I'm starting every day with meditation, stretching, and a workout. That's my that helps me start my day off on a positive note. What are you guys doing to help, besides wearing amazing outfits in your kitchen?
Okay, so this is called Real Talk, right? So I can be open. So I am, again, a people person. I love people. I am used to working at home. I've been working at home for years, so I developed a routine around that. And I'm not somebody who's depressed, anxious, anything like that. But I'm starting to have those tendencies right now and feeling those ways, because I am super limited on anything I could do. I can't leave the house to go see people. I can't do the things that I want. It feels like, I don't want to use the word freedom. It feels like freedom has been taken away, not for me, but for everybody. Not by anybody, but because we need to stay home. It's safe for us to stay home. But I am somebody who used to just hop on a little bus or train and get to New York City in about 4.5 hours, gallivant around New York City, people watching, doing my business, speak to whoever I'm speaking to in workshops, and come home the same day. And I've had a great day, and I love all the movement and excitement, as well as quiet time for myself. But this is constant, too much quiet. And I've been in self-quarantine since the end of January. It's been a long time for me.
Since the 10th of January?
Since the end of January.
I was going to say, that's right, because I can't believe it was that long ago.
Yeah, I went to Portugal. When I came back from Portugal, all of a sudden I got really, really sick, not with COVID, anything. It was all internal stuff going on with intestine and stuff. We didn't know what was happening at the time. And I was like that until the beginning of March, not knowing what was happening, couldn't leave my house, couldn't leave my bedroom really. And so I've been staying in. And then when they finally figured it out, the treatments that I have now, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease very recently. And the treatments I have now are further immunosuppressive in addition to the immunosuppressants I already take. So now I've been in quarantine for all this time, and now I know I'm going to have to stay in quarantine for much longer than most of the people in the world will have to. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's actually become something it's shifted me into this state of, I don't feel good at all. And I've constantly been pulling at things to help myself. I have to practice what I preach. So anything that I work on with my clients, I do myself. When I help clients and I hang up the phone, I feel better. So that's already one thing. I wear clothes to make me feel better. So I'm a Rent the Runway Unlimited member. I rent gaudiest pieces of all and wear them around my house because I can. I don't know if you guys have heard of Tabitha Brown, but she always says something like, because that's my business. Well, that's my business. If you haven't heard of Tabitha Brown, she's amazing. I highly recommend her. She's like the young mom you never had, very responsible, warm, loving. She's a cook, all sorts of things, but she's always like a little bit of this and that, like so like that. And because that's your business, honey, I'm like, that's right. That's my business. I could wear ball gowns around my house if I want to, right? And so I just started ordering all these gaudy pieces I'd never order to lift me up a little bit, because it does, when I see myself in the mirror with something else that's different on, it lifts me in ways that I never thought would. So I've kind of gone the other way. Yeah.
You're the second person that I've met that and work with professionally that that does Rent the Runway. I'd never heard of that before. 6 months ago. I am so tempted to get in on that. I just be my own little, Halle Berry around my arm.
It took me a long time to actually get into it, but when I thought about it in a sustainable way, I'm not buying clothes and tossing them, quote unquote, even if you donate clothes, they end up in a landfill somewhere, which is really bad for the environment. So I kind of said to myself, well, I'm wearing new clothes all the time, and they dry clean it for me, and I get to wear designer clothes all the time, and it doesn't go to a landfill for a long, long, long time. I'm in. And I also, I was speaking at different events, and so that's how I rationalized it at first, and now I just can't stop. I really love what it does for me. For my personality type, at least for me personally.
I love it. I love it. Lisa, what are you doing? What are the things you're doing?
I'm actually on the total opposite spectrum of that. So for me, I'm a homebody. And I find it pretty funny that I find myself feeling anxious to get out, because honestly, I go work, home, church, work, home, mom's house, home. You know what I mean? So to be home is not that much of a stretch out of my norm. What it is that I'm feeling the restriction of being told that I can't leave home. So now I feel like, oh, I want to go somewhere. I want to go see a friend. I want to go, to the movies. I miss going to eat out. I'm a big foodie. I might not look like it, but I'm a fat girl at heart. I
miss that girl.
I miss restaurants. DoorDash is not doing it for me. I'm actually scared. I haven't actually ordered takeout or anything since COVID, because I'd rather cook my own food at the moment. And that's just my own self-consciousness working, because I'm kind of OCD like that. So, I know I'm washing my hands, and with it being so extreme right now, there's not too many places that I want to go and order food from at the moment. But for me, it's really just a restriction on not being able to leave out the door and go where I want as I please. And not only that, my family is very close knit. We don't typically go more than 2-3 days without seeing each other. And I'm fortunate to have one of those families that we actually get along. We actually like each other. People are like, oh, what do you do for fun? I literally hang out at my mom's house. Me and my brother and my sister, we get together. We do board games and family nights. We're big wrestling fans, and so we have WrestleMania parties and stuff like that. And it became lonesome for the fact that I couldn't see their faces. I couldn't touch them, couldn't hug them. The most that I would see my mom is when I would go take her groceries, because I don't want her going to the grocery store. So I would pick up stuff, drop it off, and it's literally a drop and dash. Like, and we're touchy feely. We like to hug. And she went to hug me, and I was like, no, don't touch me. And I was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that. But don't touch me. She was like, oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Yeah. And it's so hard, you know, because Emma, you know, I would hug you every time I came up the escalators. You know, I'm a people person. And another thing that I fear about this virus at the moment is that, you know, we already struggle. I say we as a people, you know, because obviously everyone's not included. But when I say we as a whole, you know, humans need interaction and touch and, you know, cooperation from each other. And I just feel like with as much hate that we experience, this is going to make so many areas worse. You know, at the same time, we do still have the opportunity to make so many areas better. And I think that it's just a perspective, you know. Someone like me, I don't let a day go past without trying to make somebody smile. You know, if I walk past you down the street, I don't care if it's just a head nod or acknowledgement. You know, you're gonna get a smile, because you never know when you're that person's last straw, and you just, I don't want that on my conscience. And I miss the interaction of people. And not, you know, not that I have millions of friends or followers or anything like that, but, you know, I feel like my personality and my character, you can feel the difference from the absence of being around people. And that is what I miss. Miss my family, I miss my friends. I miss the luxury of going in and out as I please without a curfew from the governor.
For real. I was at the supermarket the other day, and I got chatting to a policeman. I was buying some, I don't know, I couldn't find what I was looking for, and I had to ask this police security dude like where this thing was, and I had on a mask. And you know me, like smiles, like it doesn't matter how touchy-feely you may or may not be, a smile is a smile, right? But I realized like you can't tell if I'm smiling because I'm wearing a bloody mask. So I was chatting to him about like, I feel really awkward about, you know, how there's so much like disconnect, right? That I feel that we're having, because it's not like we can't even just not hug our mothers. It's also like we can barely acknowledge each other's upward mouths.
Yeah. I just posted that recently. I posted that recently. I had my mask on and I said, smile. People can still feel that, because, you know, you can still see your eyes, you know, light up. You can still see the corners. And just, I feel like, you know, emotions itself transfers. So you can still keep smiling, Emma. They know you're smiling.
We'll try. By the way, John Escarali, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, says, super point, Lisa, take care of yourself, look good, and you feel good. I need to take that advice, lol, because I've been living in sweats.
Don't let him fool you. He's super handsome, no matter what.
I love it. And Michael Bryant also says, quarantine suit is sneakers, sweats, and coffee. I don't know how you wear coffee, but we'll get there. Okay, so
often by accident. So I said I wear coffee pretty often by accident, so I understand.
Yeah.
Filling it
I don't
all
drink coffee, you know. I miss that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
I just ladies, let me ask. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, so
back up what you were saying about being like going and paying attention and being close with your family and not having a lot of friends, and you were mentioning something about having a lot of followers. Even somebody like me who has a lot of acquaintances and I can reach many people. I don't have a lot of really close friends because of that entrepreneurial style life that I live. When before all of that, I could say I had a lot of friends. I was hanging out, I was going everywhere, I felt the love. And then when I became more of an entrepreneur and I dove into self-development, people didn't dive into that with me because that was my thing, not their thing. It took me a long time to realize that. It just felt like people were falling off. So I really feel like the very few friends I actually have are the ones that I can't see. And that is what's hard for me. It's not that I don't have like all these people I can go rush and see or you know, go to New York City and see all the people. The very few friends that I do have, I would say like I'm really close to two now. Only one of them, for example, her husband just found out he had COVID today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thankfully he's okay and he's coming home from the hospital and so on and so forth. But it's like that now, that's even a bigger degree of now I know I'm not going to see her for a long time. And my other friend is around children a lot and and you'd never know it. It's hard for so many levels for different people who have lots of friends who don't, who thought they did. And now it's narrowed to somebody who has to do this, but since your life doesn't fit theirs, So this is also why I was looking forward to this conversation, because you were mentioning relationships in the time of COVID and who you're close to, and things shift. Things absolutely shift during times like these.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, Liz. I totally forgot the topic of this entire conversation. We just dove right into like talking about everything, because originally we were talking about. I mean, when I first scheduled this with Lisa, we were discussing like the trials and tribulations of dating during COVID, and then of course, Liz, you're married with a child, so you're both coming from very different perspectives on how to navigate relationship building and relationship sustainability during quarantine.
Yeah.
How is that going for both of you?
Is it going? So here's the thing. We are blessed to have this lovely thing called technology. So, you know, I just feel like if you have an interest in someone, there's essentially still no excuse. You know, and actually we're at a time frame now where a lot of people's excuses are kind of out the window. Like, you can't tell me you're busy right now. Like, you can't tell me you're not home, unless you're an essential worker and you're literally on the operating table. There within 24 hours, return text messages, face chats, you know, just phone calls. These things are unacceptable to be missed. But now, if you're talking about starting a brand new relationship or meeting someone, then that's a different aspect, because you know, you're in a position that you're not out and about meeting people on a regular basis, and you might quite frankly be scared to stop and talk to someone new, because you're not sure how they feel about the situation, you know, what you may have or what they may have. So I think that will be quite the barrier in that aspect. I think it's just going to be a matter of someone's boldness, you know, at that point. And because, I mean, honestly, you're only seeing this much of a person. You know, so, you know, and if you're walking around in sweats like me, your shape is not going to catch their attention too much unless you've got like that slamming through your sweatpants type of shape. But you know, it's really going to be a matter of, I think, other qualities and aspects are going to be able to draw people to each other at this point. Kindness, helpfulness. Those are the things that are going to start attracting people, because you're limited to what you can see and what you can do. It's going to create the need for effort. You'll have to put effort into making a way to make time to see me, be it Facebook or chats or whatnot. So, you know, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, personally, like, you know, I'm single at the moment, but it's going to be interesting moving forward. You know, just finding out who has an interest and how to carry that on. You also have to take into consideration, does this person have kids? Does this person have an essential job? Does this person have all the different types of technology equipment, you know, so, it's going to be draining and exciting and fun at the same time. I don't know. It nerve-wracking, maybe. You know, you're gonna have to feel like you got to get your face done every time somebody wants to face chat you. You know, I don't know.
It's interesting you say that, you know, like, because now we're all on quarantine, we're all at home, so people, I think, assume that everybody's like got time to chat and do things, but I don't know about, you know, you, Liz, but for me, I have been back to back to back to back of like online streams, webinars, clients, you know, over Zoom. I legit, you know, the guy that I'm seeing, he runs his own business as well. And it's like, we literally have to be like, I'll call you at 11 p.m. If you're asleep, it's all good. Like, you know, it's tough. It's tough. Right. How are you finding married life, Liz?
Married life, I have to be honest, my husband's, he is just such a happy-go-lucky person, and he lets me be me all the time, or else we wouldn't have meshed in the first place, that it's easy with him. It's super easy. He's always been him. He never changes. He's always happy-go-lucky, always so selfless, and he's very childlike. I'm the one sometimes who's too serious. Even though I love the childlike side, I forget to get like that, and so he pulls me back into it, which makes things healthier. Which is great. Awesome. The desk is right here. So all day long, we're working right next to one another. And at night, we're sleeping next to one another and waking up. He comes to the office first. I come right back, you know, behind him. And we're together 24/7. But since he lets me do my thing, and I also, when he's on a call, I leave and I go into our room and work. It works really well.
Yeah. With
my daughter, she's 19. So she's a child, but she's an adult at the same time. The best thing for me to do is not be on top of her. I have to let her be her and do her thing. And she has a partner. So, you know, whenever she wants to do something with her boyfriend, I know that he doesn't go off and do other things either. They're just seeing one another at either his place or here, and it's safe. And I let her do that. And then when she's at home, she makes her own space wherever she is, and I let her do her. If I was constantly like in the same room with her, I think she would kill me. Because she's so different from me, and I'm so like, why'd you move that thing there? It needs to be in its place. And then and she's like, she thinks very differently. She puts things everywhere, and that's how she thrives. And I'm the opposite. So if I was on top of her, we were too close of a quarters, and I didn't let her do her thing, it would be different, I think. I'm helping a lot of clients with relationship stuff right now, and they are kind of echoing what you both have kind of been saying. Before I mentioned that, you guys are talking about availability, and now I know you're home all day, so you must have time, return my messages. Now that everyone's home, they think that during work hours, I can respond to them when I'm like, I've been working the same hours you have, just not in a different place.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I'm like, call me back in a minute, I'm on a call. And they're like, with you? No, I'm working too.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like, okay, you're home, like you're not doing anything, because you know, I have to telework too. So, you know, and my friends and my family, they know like when I'm working, I'm working, I'm stuck at my desk. Well, it's my sunroom now, but it's my desk. But what I mean is, you know, within 24 hours, it takes 5 seconds to shoot a message to say, hey, thought about you. Hey, got your message, you know, get back to you when I can. I just think that, you know, aside from COVID, those are relationship challenges regardless. Someone who's full-fledged interested, they're going to find a way to make effort. Again, effort and communication, top priority. I don't think people can use COVID as an excuse. You know, I think that, you know, some people will try, but at that point, you know, as the person that, you know, is on the other end of that relationship, you have to decide, is that something that you want to allow? Because essentially it's you allowing it. You know, you either are going to say, no, listen, this doesn't work for me. And you have to find a way to find a middle ground. Or you have to decide that maybe this person isn't the one that's going to work out for you and your needs. Because if you try to pretend like you're okay with that, that is just going to be a problem down the line.
Yeah. And I guess what I meant is like, there's so many different types of relationships that you have. There are these intimate relationships, partnership, like husband, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And then you have relationships with your friends. So what you're saying, I'm echoing 1,000%. I'm raising my hand and clapping over here in my own way, because I have friends in real life that are that same way, where they don't respond to my message right away. And I'm like, okay, I can't continue a relationship like this because it's damaging. Like, I'm always reaching out to you, or not always, but when I do, just respond within a good amount of time. You don't have to respond in the hour. If it's not the same day, at least like the next morning, be like, hey, got your message. All right, fine, sure, whatever it is. But I think for relationships in general, it should be like that. It feels like common courtesy. Once in a blue moon, I might slip and answer the next person the next day versus the same day. But man, I tell you, what you're saying, it comes through.
Yeah, no,
I feel like you're talking to me right now, Liz, because I took like a day and a half the other day to reply to your message. I was like, oh, I feel so guilty. I'm so sorry.
But see, you're not like romantically in love with her. You know what I mean? So somebody you're romantically in love with, or someone you're trying to get on that level with, you're not gonna see that person's message and let 24 hours go by without at least saying, yo, I got you. Like, thought about you too. Whatever it may be.
Right.
It's a person's interest level is what's going to keep them motivated. There's just no excuse.
But that's how I feel about friendship. Like, not that, I mean, I have friends that if they take long to reply, that's okay. But like a week or a month later, that's not okay. So I feel like what you're saying, I know it's not the same friendship and relationships, like romantic relationships, but that interest level thing gets to me, because if I message somebody and they're supposed to be a close friend, and then like a month later, they message me back, I'm like, that shows they're so interested in this friendship right now. No.
Right.
You know? So I'm feeling it in a different way. I know what you mean, but I'm like,
no, because I can agree to that to a level, because I mean, take it how you want. Every friend you have is on a different level. No friend is the same. Some friends are acquaintances. Some friends are, like good people. Like I don't talk to Emma every day, but that's my homegirl, but if she sends me a message, I'm going to hit her back. It might be 2 hours later, but I'm going to hit her back. But, like my best friend, Kim, I'm going to talk to her, at some point. Even, she'll call me, I'll send her a message, or I'll call her and she'll call me and she says, hey, honey, I'm still at work. I'm going to call you back. And then she doesn't, because she's busy. But see, the fact that I am that level of a friend, that she took the time to say, I'm busy, I can't talk. That's what I'm alluding to, is that when it's someone that you care on that level, friendship or romantic, you're gonna find a way to acknowledge that person. That's all I'm saying, is you gotta be acknowledged. Now, I have friends on the same aspect that you're talking about, where I can send them a message, or I can be the only one checking, but then I just know that you're just not on this level. You're like just a friend on this level, so there's levels to this.
Like we all can watch read the same Harry Potter series, but we might be on different books, right? That's what you're saying?
Right. But listen. What about those? Let's be messy. Can we spice this up here?
Go ahead, Brad.
Yes.
So, what about these side people, these side chicks, like the ones who aren't?
Hey. There are side dudes as well. Just to be clear.
Side dudes. I was getting there. So what about the ones that are like locked up with who they're actually supposed to be with? Like, what do you think is going on with theirs right now? It's like, at this point, you're sitting and you're deciding, was I the side person, or am I the main or not? It's like, how does that work when you're not where you actually want to be? How does that household look?
I can't relate to that at all personally, because for me, I have really good friends who are in not polygamous, they're in open relationships, and that kind of mindset gives them an opportunity to really like just be open and honest with each other. If you're a side dude or a side chick, that to me sounds like the main person doesn't know about you.
Right.
And that to me, like, I personally wouldn't put myself in that situation ever, whether there's coronavirus or not. Unless we have that conversation of like, okay, I can be your side chick, whatever, as long as you're aware that I have other
No. I mean, like when you realize or an event like this with COVID, that now the text messages are stopped, the call returns are later, you know, the excuses are null and void. Like,
right.
you know, at what point, since we're talking about dating and relationships, like at what point do you take those as red flags and say, you know what, maybe this person isn't as available as I thought they were, versus, you know, running the risk that you're overthinking something and that maybe they're just actually legitimately busy. Where is that fine line?
Liz, you look like you're bursting to say something.
Because I know of situations like this right now. In my own life, I'm somebody who's dedicated to one person all the time, like in terms of relationships. But I have friends, client bases, like I'm learning new things from everybody who have everything. Do you mean in your question that this person is thinking, you know, oh, this person isn't being responsive, so am I perhaps not the most important thing in their lives? Am I a side chick? Or do you know, are you saying that the person who's thinking about it knows they're a side person and is getting upset about it?
I'm sure they would be getting upset if they came to the realization that they are the side chick. No, but I meant as in regards to the topic of dating, you know, it is something that you'll have to take into consideration as to whether or not someone is actually available. I think that this COVID and the way that we have to, you know, intertwine technology and whatnot with dating, I think that it just opens the door for so many other red flags and awarenesses that you have to be aware of as a person looking to date. So, you know, when you are calling someone or reaching out or FaceTime or whatnot, and it stops, or it's like the responses are different hours, or, you know, at what point do you draw the line and say, yeah, maybe their interest shouldn't be here, or, you know, or is it, you know, I just don't know this person well yet. Are they actually busy? Because, you know, when it wasn't COVID, you could be like, okay, we're going to go on a date on Saturday night. Well, you're not actually saying that at this point in time, because you know, it's not likely that you're going out on dates at the moment. But it's you know, it's just a fine line of dating, being cautious. So I'm just wondering how you guys are. Well, not you, Liz, you're married, you don't have to worry about that.
But she's a life coach. She has
yeah, that's right. So like, you know, how do you decide when you're overthinking something as far as someone new?
In that case, that's what I say, that they have to tune into themselves. We work on, like when I'm working with my clients, one of the first things that we do is we identify core desired feelings. Basically is what do they want to feel? So they have to really dive into themselves and figure out who they are, what they want, not just the superficial things they think that they want. And so then in the process of finding out about yourself, you become a little bit more intuitive. Everyone has their intuition, right? But you build up this intuition. So as soon as they start feeling the red flags, there are full red flags. They just have to pay attention to them. And it's deciding what they're going to do with what they're seeing in front of them. For example, two situations in a very broad sense. One, a woman found out that her man she was married to him at one time. I don't know if they still are. And he was married to somebody else also somehow. And it'd been going on for a couple of years, and she just found out. And I happened to reach out to her on the day that she found out, just to check on her. I want to say, how are you doing? What's going on? Do you need anything? And then she's like, you know, devastated by what she found out. Even after she found out, I keep checking on her. But she loves this person so much, she's willing to figure out how to make it work. Where if it was me, we always say, you know, 20/20 is hindsight anyway. If it was me, I would just cut it right off. And I assume that I would just say, no, I'm not doing this. It was years of you lying to me. This is not okay. I'm not going to live my life this way. But that's me. Whereas if she wants something with this person so badly, she's willing to work on it, overlook it for whatever reason she is. Where another person is more on the side of dating, and, you know, she sees you know, these kind of red flags, but she also has seen that he cares for her and she's not really sure what to do with it. But it's also because she shut off the intuitive part. She wants to be with somebody else so badly that she's willing to like, oh, well, I'll just hang in there and see what happens. And she will not listen to anybody else. She will not. I'm coaching with her and we've talked about this. I'll make fun of it and I'll just say, this is your zodiac sign, you see, even though I know nothing about zodiac really. And I'm like, you're not listening now, even though you know, you're not listening to yourself right now. You're not listening to yourself. And she's like, I know, but you know, it's hard when you're lonely and you know you want partnership, and when you've got somebody that's maybe there looking, you know, paying attention to the red flags and doing what you're supposed to do becomes a lot more blurred and harder. You have to really act on what you know is best for yourself. And that's a hard thing because you're not sure if the person's really doing something or not, or being honest with you about what they're doing, or as they say they are online. For example, if you're just meeting them, everything looks good on a resume until you call them in for the interview, right? So
yeah, I think from my perspective, like one of the things that that irritates me about the society in which we live here in the DMV is that we, like, as much as DC is a very female dominated culture, we still have a lot of baggage that's placed on our shoulders. Like, you know, if the woman speaks up about how she feels, she's crazy or she's a bitch or whatever, right? Whereas for me, I have to really remember that I come from a lineage of really strong and powerful women. So by default, I'm a really strong and powerful woman, right? I have no say in the matter. I just have to remember that about myself. And I say that to mean, you know, it's scary to have the conversation, but communication can clarify so much. Then once you have more information, because otherwise you're basing every decision off of maybes, what ifs, and questions. And I think if you get that clarity, it's, you know, it takes you that one step closer to deciding, is this a fuck yes or is this a fuck no? And if it's a fuck no, get the fuck out. Right? And that's for everything, not just for men, not just for women. It's just a life. One of my favorite sayings is, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. So I just, that's my perspective on how I'm choosing to show up in 2020 during COVID.
It's hard. Everyone has different lives, different personalities. When I coach people, I ask a million questions because I want to know, is it a story in their head or are there actions that are actually all coming together meaning something? So we go through all these different steps and there is no one answer for everyone. But I would go back to, yes, you must communicate. You must ask the hard questions if you really want it to work. If you're just trying to feel it out, it's sticky. It's hard because you don't know if the person's going to be honest with you or not, but you got to try. So I agree that communication is the biggest thing, and figuring out whether you've created a story in your head or if this is really something is also.
I have a lot of stories in my head. So
I think we all do, though. We all do. We're all raised to figure out what's right and wrong for ourselves, and then we end up judging too much and then condemning, and then we were like, wait, we're not supposed to judge. Well, how do you not judge? But your mind is on, and then, did I condemn? Wait, I condemned. I need to stroke it. Is this something I need to? There's a lot of questions because of the way.
And then you bring in the cultural influences of like, oh, but I'm 30 years old now. I need to be married with children, even though I have a career. Yeah. Hashtag Fijian woman problems. I don't know.
Yeah. It depends on what you want, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to ask for. If you're somebody who wants to be in a relationship where you're number one all the time, then you're going to have to start asking those questions now. But if you're okay with just kind of dabbling and seeing where it goes, and you're really, really okay with that, you're not just telling yourself that, then you can let it go and see. But if you're already bothered by it in some way, shape, or form, that there's something there that you need to ask. But it's always been so tricky. Even during the times where it wasn't COVID-19 driven, you were dating online, you still weren't sure what you were getting into. And there's all these new terms that all of a sudden popped out, like he friended me, he unfriended me, and he ghosted me, and all these things. Like, you know, and then the gaslighting that comes up when you tell somebody, you know, hey, I try to reach you and you're not reaching me, and all of a sudden the gaslighting that starts from there. There's all these things that are emerging from this technological place of dating and, you know, trying to connect with somebody. And I'm in the belief that if you want to be with somebody, you'll make it happen. You'll put your time where you want to have the time. But then if you don't know the person and you're searching and you're branching out this way versus this way, then there's all sorts of things that come back to you. And there's so many different answers.
I think you made a good point earlier when you were like, you know, to be honest with what you want. I think that that's a problem that, you know, relationships have in the beginning. Like, you know, if a girl is like, oh yeah, no, I'm good with us just being friends. No, you're not. No, you're not. You know, you're not. So why even go there with him? You know, let him know up front, you know, because all he's going to do is turn around and be like, nah, you said you was good with this. Don't get in your feelings when he starts dating somebody else, or you see him out with something else.
But I think part of that is to do with the conditioning as well, because we're raised to be like, you know, swallow the feelings as women. At least in my culture, that's very much the case. You know, women need to, you know, be cool with whatever, because otherwise you're labeled as this, that, and the other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the double standard is horrible. I mean, even if you go on the aspect of sex, like, you know, if I just want to go play, then I just want to go play and not have any strings attached. But men and women, I'm sure, you know, too often you introduce sex, your feelings are going to get caught up at some point. So, you know, I think it's very important. So I'll back down to the women's side because I can't speak for a man. But as a woman, I think that you need to be honest with yourself and say, for sure, you know what you want. And, you know, if you should know yourself, you should know if I sleep with this person, I'm going to be emotionally attached, and I'm gonna hit that crazy switch because that's, you know, that's what's gonna happen. So you know, just know yourself and know what you want ahead of time, and you know, just don't lead guys on. I think you know, we don't call out women enough on the ones that are leading guys on when you already know they're not what you're looking for. Yeah. You know, like you can be respectful without wasting their time or money. And for your own sanity, just be honest with yourself with what you want. And, you know, if you want to go do you. But if you want to do you with one person, let that one person know that this is what you want, and don't try to play it like you're okay if that's not what they want, because you're not okay with that. I think that that's very important for us as women to openly acknowledge and speak out, so that we don't run into these issues of being called a bitch, because then we're all upset, you know, later down the road, because this is what you essentially agreed to in the beginning. Now, it is true that feelings can change over time. So say you get with a guy and you guys are just kicking it and it's fun, and at some point you realize, ooh, I like this guy a little bit more. You should be the one to bring up that conversation to say, hey, listen, I feel like this is going a different way, and give them the opportunity to let you know, maybe if they're feeling that same way, or no, you know, if they say, no, I'm still feeling like I still want to keep this, then that gives you an opportunity to break yourself away and make a decision. You know, I'm gonna stay in this because he's worth having as just a friend. But if you know yourself, you have to be accountable to yourself to know, I'm not going to be able to handle this, because you're just going to make it a bad situation. You know,
I think now is a really good time for that as well, because we, you know, this is at least, again, from my perspective, being on quarantine is literally an opportunity for us to like practice that self-fulfillment. You know, we can't be around everyone all the time. You know, you can include that one person or those two people in your bubble or whatever, but you know, at the end of the day, like, you are your bubble. Let's use this time to practice what it's like to like ourselves when we're by ourselves.
Right.
You know, John Ascarelli also says, I think it's important to remember this is an unparalleled situation that everyone in the world is experiencing, and you don't know how a person will react or handle it over time. Could be good after 2 weeks, but entirely different after 2 months. Dealing with paranoia, fear, depression, family or friends affected by COVID-19, etc.
True. Very true.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. We're all, swimming into the unknown together, It's a weird time to date. It's a weird time to be married, I'm sure. It's a weird time to be getting married.
Yeah. Well, and so like John brings up a good point. When you're dating, and if you have to date, in an era of COVID, through online measures and whatnot, and you have family and whatnot, like at what point do you decide, how do you bring them into the scenario? How do you introduce your family to someone that you're still trying to learn yourself? This isn't the back in the day Huxtables, bring them to dinner. It's just not like that anymore. So there's just a lot of moving parts.
For sure. We have to wrap up now, ladies, unfortunately. This has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to discuss dating in Corona, as well as your own livelihoods and expertise. Do you have any parting words for humans in the World Wide Web that you would like to talk about, either relating to your own businesses or, parting wisdom for dating in quarantine?
Yeah, no, because I'm not an expert at it, obviously. I still very single, very much haven't gotten it right. But I think I think at most, I think that if you find yourself with an interest in someone, just keep that communication line open, keep effort going, and just at every turn, be honest with yourself with what you want. And smile under your mask.
Smile under your mask.
I love all of that. I am married, but I'm married for the second time, so I wasn't always an expert. I'm just kidding. One thing that comes to mind is that when I met my now husband, I didn't know that he was the one I was going to be with. Actually, I was pushing him away because he was so different from me, and I was also getting really sick. And I was like, I'm getting sicker. This isn't going to get better. And he said something to me like, I'm not dating you because you're sick or you're healthy. I'm dating you because you're you. And I was like, oh, okay. And then one night I was laying in bed thinking, why am I allowing this? He's right. Then he was long distance. He was living in California. I was living in Virginia. So it was the same thing as like not seeing one another. And we're doing that for months. And I was like, why am I allowing this to happen? Again, this is my second long distance relationship. I don't know if I'm feeling this, even though he said at the time he was going to move. And all of a sudden, it was like my own voice over me, but booming, said, just because it's not the way you pictured it to be, doesn't mean it's not going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. Because everything I had asked for from the universe was all there in him, but I was choosing not to see it just because he was at a long distance, far away. I wasn't seeing him on a daily basis, weekly basis, or even monthly basis, but he was adding up in every other way. And I had to learn to tear all of that down and say, okay, let's see where this goes. Because he was a good person doing great things. And I was just blocking it. So as soon as I realized, looking at it, this is what I had been asking for. And now I have it right in front of me. Why else am I blocking it? Just because I don't see him in person? How long is this going to last? And then the next thing was, is he really going to move here? And he did. He was here in 6 months. I was like, okay, there we go. There was my answer. But as long as I learned to let go and see how things went, but paying attention to the things I had asked for, because I knew what I wanted. I really knew what I wanted. I just didn't recognize it when I saw it. Because things weren't exactly how I had mentioned it to be or imagined it to be. That was my own situation. Not everybody's situation is the same. And I would just give the advice to really know yourself, get to know yourself, not what society says you need to be or what you should be, or, that you should be looking for whatever, but pay attention to what you really need, and think about over time what that's going to mean for you. For example, if you're saying that you need somebody who looks like this, whatever this is, and will age take that away from them, then you have to reimagine what you're looking for. Really get to the core of who they are first. What are you looking for? Who am I? If you're looking for your soulmate, you have to know what your own soul first, right? Get to know yourself, figure out what you really want from a relationship, and then really communicate. Say what you have to say, ask what you have to ask, and allow the other person to do the same.
I love that.
That's
if
good.
you're looking for a soulmate, you need to know what your own soul looks like. Yo.
It's
Hey,
hard, but yeah.
On a fortune cookie, Emma.
I'm gonna write a song about that. I tell you.
And if
you guys are amazing. Sorry.
Quickly, if somebody feels like they're like, I don't know myself well enough and they want to develop themselves more, you can reach out to me if you want to, but also Danielle Laporte's core desired feelings through her desire mapping program. I think it's like free right now online, but you could just buy the book and do the little activities in there, and you will start to really get to know yourself.
What's the name of the book, sorry?
Sure, it's called The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte.
Design Him Up?
Oh, sorry, The Desire Map.
Oh, The Desire Map, sorry.
Desire
Clearly,
Map.
I've been working too hard today. My hearing has gone out the window. By who, sorry?
Danielle Laporte.
Danielle Laporte. Okay, I'm putting that in the comments for everybody who's watching. Fantastic. Thank you, ladies. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being part of this, for sharing your wisdom, your stories, your love. To everybody who's watching, if you want to get in touch with any of these people, their links are in the description of this video. They're great. They're worth it. They're, everything. They're two superheroes in my mind. The two superheroes that are making the world a much freaking better place. So stay awesome, stay kind, spread love like it's going out of fashion. It is the new virus that will overpower this current virus like nobody's business, but do it with a mask on and a smile on your hearts. Peace, love, and call your mum.
You are your own.